Welcome to Book Buzz Reviews and Summaries. What if the greatest truths of life were not loud proclamations or complex theories, but soft whispers carried by the wind? What if wisdom was not something to conquer, but something to flow with, like a river that effortlessly shapes mountains over millennia? Welcome to the profound simplicity of Tao Te Ching, a timeless masterpiece written over 2,500 years ago by the enigmatic sage Lao Tzu. As we embark on this journey together, I want you to imagine something. Picture yourself standing on the edge of a vast, ancient forest. The trees are tall and timeless, their roots tangled deep into the earth, their branches reaching high into the infinite sky. There's a stillness here, a sacred silence that feels alive. This is the space where the wisdom of the Tao resides, a space that is both deeply personal and universally shared. The Tao Te Ching invites us into this forest of paradoxes, offering us not a map to navigate life, but a compass to feel our way through it. It doesn't promise quick answers or easy solutions. Instead, it challenges us to let go of control, to embrace the unknown, and to find harmony in what appears chaotic. It tells us that the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao, nudging us to realize that the essence of life cannot be captured in words or grasped by logic. It must be experienced. Why does this ancient text still resonate so deeply in a world obsessed with speed, productivity, and certainty? Because the Tao Te Ching speaks to a truth we often forget, that the greatest strength lies in yielding, the greatest wisdom in simplicity, and the greatest freedom in letting go. Lao Tzu teaches us that water, soft, humble, and yielding, can wear down the hardest rock, and that by aligning with the natural rhythms of life, we find an effortless power that no force can resist. This isn't just a book, it's a mirror. Its words reflect back the parts of ourselves we've ignored or forgotten. It's a guide to rediscovering the beauty of being, of seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary, and of learning to trust the flow of life. So, whether you're seeking peace in the chaos, clarity amidst confusion, or simply a deeper connection to the world around you, you're in the right place. Let's walk together through the profound teachings of Tao Te Ching. Let its wisdom wash over you, not as instructions to follow, but as seeds to plant in your heart. Because, as Lao Tzu reminds us, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And this moment, right here, is your first step toward a more harmonious and meaningful life.
Part 1.
Introduction: The mystical beginning of the Tao. The Tao Te Ching, one of the most profound works of ancient philosophy, begins with an enigma. Lao Tzu tells us that the Tao, the way, is both eternal and ineffable. It cannot be fully named or described, much like trying to hold water in your hands. Imagine a traveler standing at the edge of an endless path, shrouded in mist, unsure of where it begins or ends.
That is the Tao.
It is the source of all things, the undercurrent of existence, and yet it defies categorization. In this opening chapter, Lao Tzu invites us into this mysterious journey, reminding us that those who seek certainty in life may never truly understand the deeper truths. Chapter 1. The Unnameable Tao. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. Lao Tzu paints the picture of two realms, the world of names, labels, and distinctions, and the nameless realm of unity and mystery. He likens the Tao to a wellspring of creation, something endlessly fertile yet elusive. In modern terms, it's like trying to explain the vastness of the ocean by holding a single drop in your hand. He introduces the reader to the paradox of opposites, darkness and light, being and non-being, all intertwined and dependent on one another. Life, Lao Tzu says, is lived at the intersection of these opposites, and to follow the Tao is to embrace this duality with humility. Chapters 2 to 5. The Dance of Duality. Lao Tzu leads us deeper into the way by revealing that opposites define each other. Without darkness, light would have no meaning. Without sorrow, joy would not exist. These chapters are an invitation to let go of rigid judgments and embrace life's contradictions. Imagine an artist with a blank canvas. The beauty of their painting comes from both the vibrant colors they add and the negative space they leave untouched. Lao Tzu suggests that life, like art, is most beautiful when it flows naturally, unforced. He also speaks of the Tao as being impartial, like the wind or the rain. The Tao does not pick sides, it simply is. This impartiality can seem harsh, but Lao Tzu encourages us to see it as a reminder of life's broader balance. The farmer who loses his crops to a storm might curse the rain, but that same rain nourishes the rivers and forests. Chapters 6 to 10. The Feminine Power of the Tao. Here, Lao Tzu shifts gears and introduces the concept of the Tao's feminine essence. He compares the Tao to the mysterious womb of the universe, a source of boundless creativity and nurturing energy. He tells a tale of a stream flowing effortlessly through the valleys, shaping mountains over millennia without force or struggle. This is the Tao's power, soft yet unyielding, yielding yet indomitable. In these chapters, Lao Tzu calls upon rulers and leaders to adopt the Tao's feminine qualities. Instead of ruling with force or domination, he urges them to lead with gentleness, humility, and compassion. The best leaders, he says, are like the Tao, unseen and unassuming, yet profoundly influential. Chapters 11 to 14. The Wisdom of Emptiness. Lao Tzu presents a series of metaphors that highlight the value of emptiness. The usefulness of a wheel lies in the empty space between its spokes. A pot is valuable because of the hollow inside that holds water. A room becomes livable due to the empty space within its walls. In these chapters, Lao Tzu gently nudges us to reconsider what we see as useful or valuable. True power, he argues, comes not from what is filled but from what is open and receptive. This philosophy extends to the mind. He invites the listener to imagine a cup overflowing with water. It cannot hold anything more. In the same way, a mind cluttered with preconceptions and certainties cannot grasp the infinite wisdom of the Tao. Chapters 15 to 20. The Sage's Path. Lao Tzu begins to describe the qualities of the sage, a person who lives in harmony with the Tao. The sage, he says, is like water, flexible, humble, and essential to life. They dwell in low places without complaint, nurturing everything around them. In these chapters, he paints a vivid picture of the sage's quiet wisdom. They do not seek fame or recognition. They are patient and content with simplicity. They embrace uncertainty and flow with life's changes. Lao Tzu shares a parable about a wise farmer whose horse runs away. His neighbors offer condolences, but the farmer simply says, "Who knows what is good or bad?" The next day, the horse returns with a herd of wild horses. Again, the neighbors express their amazement, but the farmer repeats, "Who knows what is good or bad?" The story continues in this vein, illustrating the sage's calm acceptance of life's unpredictability. Chapters 21 to 25. The Tao as the Universal Law. Lao Tzu begins to expand on the Tao as the natural order of the universe. He compares the Tao to gravity or the laws of physics, something omnipresent and unchanging. He tells the story of a river carving its way to the sea. The river does not rush, yet it always reaches its destination. This, he says, is how we should approach life. Trust in the Tao, and it will guide you. In these chapters, Lao Tzu also speaks of virtue, Te, the expression of living in alignment with the Tao. He describes virtue as quiet, unobtrusive, and profound. A virtuous person does not boast or seek credit. They simply live with integrity, allowing their actions to speak for themselves. Chapters 26 to 33. Returning to Simplicity. In the final chapters of Part 1, Lao Tzu circles back to one of his central themes, the power of simplicity. He warns against the dangers of ambition, greed, and excess, urging readers to find joy in simplicity and contentment. He uses the metaphor of a tree. A tree that grows too tall is more likely to be struck by lightning. In the same way, those who seek excessive power or wealth are more likely to invite misfortune. Lao Tzu leaves us with an image of a person who is truly aligned with the Tao. They are calm amidst chaos, humble in success, and resilient in hardship. They do not cling to possessions or titles, for they understand that everything in life is fleeting. Conclusion of Part 1. A gentle whisper from the Tao. As Part 1 comes to a close, Lao Tzu's words feel like a gentle whisper, urging us to slow down, let go of our fears, and trust in the natural flow of life. He reminds us that the Tao is always present, patiently guiding us back to balance and harmony, if only we are willing to listen. The chapters of Part 1 leave us with a sense of wonder and humility, inviting us to reflect on the beauty of the unknown and the quiet power of surrender.
Part 2.
Introduction: The infinite reach of the Tao. As we journey deeper into the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu shifts his focus from the individual's connection to the Tao to its broader role in society, leadership, and human relationships. He continues to weave timeless wisdom with poetic imagery, offering a vision of harmony that is deeply countercultural yet profoundly practical. The reader is invited to imagine the Tao as a vast river flowing through a landscape, nourishing life, shaping the terrain, and yet remaining invisible in its work. Lao Tzu reminds us that to align with the Tao is to unlock a quiet power capable of transforming not just our lives, but the world around us. Chapters 34 to 37. The Tao's subtle omnipresence. Lao Tzu begins by describing the Tao as an infinite force that permeates everything, yet never asserts itself. It is like water that flows effortlessly, nourishing without demanding gratitude. He tells the story of a gardener who quietly tends his fields. His work may go unnoticed by others, but the fruits of his labor sustain the entire village. This, Lao Tzu says, is the essence of the Tao: to act without seeking recognition, to give without expecting anything in return. He also contrasts the power of the Tao with the force of human ambition. While people often strive to control and dominate, the Tao achieves everything by doing nothing. It is a paradox that invites us to rethink what true power looks like. Chapters 38 to 41. Virtue without pretension. In these chapters, Lao Tzu delves into the concept of Te, or virtue, and how it manifests in a person aligned with the Tao. He describes virtue as something natural and unpretentious. The truly virtuous person doesn't try to appear virtuous. They simply are. Imagine a mountain, majestic and imposing, yet it does not boast of its height. The mountain's greatness lies in its quiet strength. In the same way, Lao Tzu says, the sage embodies virtue without seeking applause. Lao Tzu also warns against the decline of authenticity. When the Tao is lost, he says, people turn to rigid morality and laws. These are like hollow imitations of the real thing, serving only as a crutch for those who have strayed from the way. He urges us to look beyond superficial displays of goodness and seek the deeper essence of the Tao. Chapters 42 to 45. The Dance of Life and Death. Lao Tzu returns to the theme of duality, exploring how the Tao brings opposites into harmony. He recounts the Tao's role in the cycle of life and death, creation and destruction. Everything emerges from the Tao and eventually returns to it, much like waves that rise and fall within the ocean. He shares the story of an ancient craftsman who carves beautiful wooden bells. When asked about his secret, the craftsman replies, "I follow the wood's natural grain. I do not force my will upon it." This, Lao Tzu explains, is how the Tao works, effortless, in tune with the natural order. In these chapters, Lao Tzu also emphasizes the importance of balance. Too much ambition, pleasure, or even knowledge can lead to imbalance and suffering. The sage, he says, understands the art of moderation, finding peace in the middle path. Chapters 46 to 49. The danger of excess and desire. Lao Tzu paints a vivid picture of a society consumed by greed and ambition. He describes a kingdom where horses once roamed freely in the fields, now trained for war, and fields once rich with grain now lie barren as people chase wealth. He tells a fable of a man who finds a pearl at the bottom of the sea. Obsessed with its beauty, the man neglects his family and health, eventually losing everything. Lao Tzu uses this tale to warn against the dangers of excessive desire. Instead, he urges us to practice contentment. The Tao, he says, provides for all who live simply and humbly. The sage understands that true wealth lies not in possessions, but in peace of mind and harmony with the world. Chapters 50 to 53. The Path of Simplicity. Lao Tzu turns his attention to the choices we make in life. He likens life to a narrow path winding through a treacherous mountain range. Those who walk with greed and recklessness are like travelers carrying heavy burdens. They are more likely to stumble and fall. He introduces the concept of the three treasures: simplicity, patience, and compassion. These are the guiding principles for anyone seeking to align with the Tao. Through these treasures, Lao Tzu says, we can navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. He tells a story of a wise shepherd who tends his flock with care and humility. Unlike the proud landowner who rules through fear, the shepherd's gentleness earns the trust of his sheep. Lao Tzu uses this tale to illustrate the power of leading through compassion rather than force. Chapters 54 to 57. Leadership and the Tao. In these chapters, Lao Tzu offers profound advice for leaders and rulers. He describes the ideal leader as someone who governs with humility, putting the needs of the people above their own. The best leaders, he says, are like the Tao, present but invisible, guiding without controlling. He shares the story of a wise king who, instead of imposing harsh laws, creates a culture of trust and mutual respect. Over time, the people govern themselves, requiring little intervention. This, Lao Tzu explains, is the highest form of leadership. He also warns against the dangers of excessive control. A ruler who micromanages and hoards power is like a gardener who overwaters their plants. Eventually, the roots will rot. True strength, he says, lies in restraint and trust. Chapters 58 to 62. The Tao's Universal Compassion. Lao Tzu shifts focus to the Tao's compassion and its role in healing divisions. He speaks of the Tao as a great equalizer, treating kings and commoners, saints and sinners, with the same gentle care. He tells a parable of a potter who creates vessels of all shapes and sizes. Though they may look different, each vessel is made from the same clay. In the same way, Lao Tzu reminds us, all people are connected by the Tao. These chapters are a call to embrace forgiveness and understanding. The sage, Lao Tzu says, does not judge or condemn. They see beyond appearances and recognize the inherent worth of every being. Chapters 63 to 66. The Power of Humility. In the final chapters of Part 2, Lao Tzu returns to one of his central themes: humility. He describes the Tao as a river flowing to the lowest places, nourishing everything it touches. Similarly, the sage seeks no glory or recognition, content to serve quietly and selflessly. He tells the story of a humble farmer who rescues a trapped bird. Though the farmer expects nothing in return, the bird repays his kindness by guiding him to a hidden spring during a drought. Lao Tzu uses this tale to illustrate the transformative power of humility and compassion. As Part 2 draws to a close, Lao Tzu leaves us with a profound truth. Those who align with the Tao do not seek to conquer the world, yet they're the ones who truly transform it. Conclusion of Part 2, a call to lead with the Tao. Part 2 of the Tao Te Ching is a gentle yet powerful reminder of the Tao's potential to create harmony in both personal and societal realms. Lao Tzu challenges us to rethink our ideas of power, success, and leadership, urging us to trust in the quiet strength of humility, compassion, and simplicity. Part 3. Introduction. The final teachings of the Tao. In the concluding part of the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu gathers the essence of his teachings into a series of profound reflections. He invites the reader to embrace the Tao fully, not only as a philosophy, but as a way of being. These final chapters feel like a gentle farewell, where Lao Tzu offers guidance on how to navigate life's complexities with wisdom, humility, and grace. Through vivid metaphors and poetic imagery, he speaks of the enduring power of simplicity, the importance of love and compassion, and the transformative potential of embracing the Tao's paradoxes. Imagine an elder sitting by a fire, sharing his deepest wisdom with a small gathering. This is the tone of these final chapters. Chapters 67 to 69, The Three Treasures of Life. Lao Tzu begins Part 3 by revisiting the three treasures that he briefly introduced earlier: compassion, moderation, and humility. These treasures, he says, are the keys to living in harmony with the Tao. He tells the story of a village elder who was once a fierce warrior but gave up his weapons to care for the sick and the poor. Though some mocked his softness, the elder's compassion brought peace to his community, healing old wounds and uniting the villagers. Lao Tzu uses this tale to illustrate that true strength lies in gentleness, not aggression. In these chapters, Lao Tzu also warns against the dangers of pride and arrogance. He likens them to a river swollen with rain, overflowing its banks and causing destruction. Moderation and humility, on the other hand, keep us grounded and allow us to grow in harmony with the world. Chapters 70 to 73. The Mystery of the Tao. These chapters explore the elusive nature of the Tao. Lao Tzu acknowledges that his teachings may seem simple on the surface, yet they are deeply challenging to embody. My words are easy to understand, he says, but few can practice them. To illustrate this, he tells the story of a young artist seeking to capture the essence of a mountain in his painting. He studies its every detail, its ridges, slopes, and shadows, but the painting feels lifeless. Frustrated, he spends a year living in the mountain's embrace, walking its paths and listening to its whispers. Only then does he paint something truly alive. The lesson? Understanding the Tao requires living it, not just intellectualizing it. Lao Tzu also emphasizes the importance of trusting the Tao's wisdom, even when it feels uncertain. He compares the Tao to a vast, hidden river flowing beneath the earth, unseen but undeniably present. Trusting in this invisible force allows us to navigate life with courage and faith. Chapters 74 to 76. The Fragility of Life. In these chapters, Lao Tzu reflects on the delicate balance of life and the inevitability of death. He speaks of the Tao as a force that nurtures life, yet accepts death as a natural part of the cycle. He tells a poignant parable of a tree growing by a riverbank. Its branches are strong yet flexible, bending with the wind. One day, a neighboring tree, tall and rigid, snaps in a storm. Lao Tzu uses this imagery to remind us that resilience comes from adaptability, not resistance. Lao Tzu also critiques those who rule through fear and punishment. If people do not fear death, he asks, how can threats of death control them? Instead, he advocates for leading with compassion, creating an environment where people thrive naturally rather than being coerced into submission. Chapters 77 to 79. The Tao as a Great Equalizer. Lao Tzu turns his attention to the Tao's role as a harmonizing force. He compares it to an archer who adjusts their aim to bring balance, raising what is low and lowering what is high. In this way, the Tao ensures that no extreme lasts forever. He shares the story of a wise farmer whose fortunes rise and fall in unexpected ways. One day, his horse runs away, and his neighbors pity him. The next day, the horse returns with a herd of wild horses, and the neighbors envy him. The farmer remains calm, saying, "Who can say what is good or bad?" Over time, the farmer's steady trust in the Tao helps him weather every twist of fate with grace. In these chapters, Lao Tzu also speaks of the importance of forgiveness and letting go of grudges. He compares resentment to a heavy stone carried on one's back. Releasing it brings freedom and lightness. Chapters 80 to 81. The Return to Simplicity. Lao Tzu concludes the Tao Te Ching with a vision of an ideal world, one that is simple, peaceful, and in harmony with the Tao. He imagines small, self-sufficient communities where people live close to the land, content with what they have and unburdened by excessive desires. He tells the story of an old fisherman who spends his days by a quiet lake. Though he owns little, he feels rich in the beauty of the sunrise, the songs of the birds, and the rhythm of the water. The fisherman's joy comes not from possessions, but from his deep connection to the Tao. In the final chapter, Lao Tzu reminds us that the greatest truths are often the simplest. The sage does not hoard, he says, yet the more they give, the more they have. The Tao Te Ching ends with a call to live generously, humbly, and in harmony with the natural flow of life. Conclusion of Part 3. Embracing the Tao in Everyday Life. Part 3 of the Tao Te Ching is both a summation and a culmination of Lao Tzu's teachings. It invites us to embrace the paradoxes of life, to find strength in softness, wealth in simplicity, and wisdom in humility. Lao Tzu's final words feel like a gentle farewell, reminding us that the Tao is not something to be grasped but something to be lived. It flows through every aspect of existence, waiting for us to align ourselves with its quiet power. As the book closes, we are left with a sense of peace and possibility, knowing that the wisdom of the Tao is always within reach, guiding us toward a life of harmony and balance. Thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new video updates. Happy learning!